My 29 male brother, 31 male, is marrying my high school sweetheart, 28 female, and I refuse to attend the wedding. I, 29 male, dated this girl, Val, 28 female, fake name, when I was 17 and her 16. We were close. We swapped virginities, but I found we were incompatible around the time I turned 18.
Swap virginities.
Val was understandably upset. I told her she needed to let go, and it took her a year to move on. As time went on, I regretted breaking up with Val, but she was in a committed relationship with someone else by the time I realized I wanted her. About 5 years after breaking up with Val, I found out she had unknowingly moved 3 blocks away from my house. We hung out a few times and I walked her home from work since we also unknowingly worked right across the street from each other. I took this as a sign that we were going to get back together, but Val unfortunately told me that she no longer has the feelings that she did when we were in high school, and that it's best to stay friends as we were. I was sad, but I respected her decision. I ended up moving to a different state shortly after that. A year later, my brother Nick, 31 male, had asked me about my history with Val. I was confused on how he would know her because they never met, and Nick was already out of high school when Val and I met. I sugarcoated it and said she was just a high school fling.
Mm-hmm. There it is.
Nick asked if it would bother me if he started to hang out with her, because at the time, his best friend was just murdered and her long-term relationship had just ended, and they both wanted someone to, quote, fuck their feelings out with. I said I didn't care given the circumstances, and it probably wouldn't last because they didn't have genuine feelings for each other. This was in 2019, and now in 2023, Nick and Val are planning their wedding. Nick asked me to be his best man, and I said no. He was confused, and I told him he's marrying my high school sweetheart, and there's no way I can stand at the altar and watch him marry her. He threw in the fact he asked me if he could date her before even doing anything, and I said I didn't care, and now all of a sudden I do? I told him I always cared. I just didn't think it would last because he's such a dickhead, and she's the sweetest person you'd ever meet. And it was a sucky situation that they even started hooking up in the first place, and it doesn't make sense that she chose him over me. He said that maybe I should have realized what I had before calling it quits with Val.
Boom!
I guess he told Val what was said because she later messaged me saying that we were literal kids when we dated, and I needed to let it go. And it's weird that now I'm suddenly not okay with them together when it's been years since it first started. I didn't argue with her. I just informed my family that I wouldn't be attending the wedding. My mom, stepdad, and most of my family are taking Nick's side, saying it's been well over 10 years. And I had the chance to speak up. While my younger twin siblings are on my side saying Nick should respect bro code, I'm at a loss right now. Am I being unreasonable refusing to be a part, let alone attend the wedding? Should I just keep silent and let it happen?
I cheated on my fiance with his brother, and I've realized I want to cancel the wedding. So I, 25 female, cheated on my fiance Hugo, 25 male, with his older brother Michael, 28 male, and I realized that I've lost feelings for Hugo for a long time and don't want to marry him, but have feelings for Michael. Cheating on Hugo was the last bit it took me to realize this. Little backstory how we met. I met Hugo and his brother in middle school. I was 13. I got to know Michael beforehand and got along with him much better. He was 16 and flirted with me a lot, but I told him he was too old for me. He was very sad about it, but he said that if I'm later married to his brother, I would still be part of the family. Hugo and Michael both gave me their number. They left it up to me to decide which of them I wanted to get to know better. I chose Hugo because we didn't have such a huge age difference as Michael and I did, although I actually wanted to write Michael. So Hugo and I got to know each other better, met more often, and got together when I was 15 and he was 16. We were in a relationship for years, but my heart was with Michael the whole time. I put it off because I didn't want to hurt Hugo. He really does everything for me, and I can feel how much he loves me. I've met Michael from time to time when I was at Hugo's house or at a family gathering, and it gave me the impression that he wanted me as much as I wanted him. Michael from time to time when I was at Hugo's house or at family gatherings, and he gave me the impression that he wanted me as much as I wanted him. Of course, that wasn't good at all, and I'm aware of that. I went on living like this for years, and when Hugo proposed to me in September last year, I was so relieved. I thought that now I would only love Hugo and forget about Michael, or that he wasn't as present to me anymore. Wrong. Hugo and Michael's aunt got married for the third time last week, and the whole family was there, including Michael. And there it happened. Hugo talked to his family members all evening, and I was kind of alone, but that was okay with me because I already knew everyone well, and at that point I had quite a headache from the loud music. So I distanced myself and of course met Michael. He wanted to keep me company and I agreed. We talked and eventually one thing led to another and we went to the toilet together. By the way, we were both still sober when I cheated, so we really wanted it. Writing this, I realized how messed up everything is. Do you? Because I hope so. After Michael and I slept together, we were both very shocked at first. I meant that it was not a mistake, but exactly what I wanted for years. Him. Michael confessed his love to me and told me how frustrating it was for him over the years with the thought of his brother his love. Michael and I want to be together and finally happy after all these years. I haven't told Hugo anything about my infidelity yet. Neither did Michael. Michael and I are now considering canceling the wedding and gently telling Hugo. I don't want to leave him standing in front of the altar and saying no, not in front of the whole family. I would like to spare him the nakedness/experience. It's bad enough that I cheated on him with his brother. I finally realized that I haven't had any feelings for Hugo for a long time. I don't want to go on with my life like this anymore. It's not fair to Hugo either. So my question now is, how can Michael and I tell Hugo? How do I tell Hugo that I love Michael? What are Michael and I supposed to do? And what are we going to do about the wedding now? I don't want to marry Hugo. Can the wedding take place and instead I marry Michael? Something like that work? I am pretty desperate right now because I finally got to be with Michael, but I don't want to cheat on Hugo again. I ruined my sister's gender reveal out of spite. Straight into it. My sister had been sleeping with my then boyfriend and only revealed the fact after we got engaged. So as to save me from getting married to a cheater, and because she felt remorseful and ashamed. I broke up with him and cut off my sister, only tolerating her during family gatherings, which I rarely ever came to if I knew she was going to be there. I moved to another state for a job and to start afresh, so I've been away from home for quite a while. Months later, I was told my sister and ex-boyfriend got engaged. To say I was livid was an understatement, but I wasn't going to let them disturb me from my life. Again, I came back recently at my mother's request since she assured me my sister wouldn't be there, only to find out she was in fact there. I managed to calm myself and pretend I was okay with everything. Deep down, I was upset. More at my mom for lying to me. It turns out they called me for my sister's planned gender reveal party, which I would never have attended had I known beforehand. I never even knew she was pregnant, but I was there already, so I had to put on a fake smile. Night came, and for the first time in a long time, my sister engaged me in a conversation and apologized for everything and wanted to make up. I wanted to bite her head off and to tell her to go to hell because the freaking audacity. But then she told me about the gender of her baby. She already knew, to try and rekindle the times where we used to tell and trust each other with everything. At some point as we were talking, I was reminded of when we used to be best friends, and honestly, I was tired of the bitterness and wanted to let bygones be bygones. I watched her plan out everything, spend a ton of money and get excited and all. But just the night before the gender reveal, my ex-boyfriend showed up and it took me right back to the past. It kept playing over and over in my head how I was betrayed by them, and I got absolutely pissed at how they were happy even after what they did to me. I realized I never had the intention of ever forgiving them, so in an attempt to get back at them, I told everyone of the gender of the baby right there and then. One glance at her and she was on the verge of tears, staring at me with a cheating scumbag. She didn't say anything and just stormed off. It was awkward. Everybody immediately knew why I did it, so it didn't come as a surprise. Nobody said anything and we all called it a night. I'm not going to lie, it felt good seeing them distraught. It brought me a sense of comfort. All their money had gone to waste since she was upset and refused to leave her room, so the reveal never happened. The house is quiet, but I can see the judgmental looks I'm getting from everyone, so I'm booking a flight back because there's no point in me being here anymore. I don't feel an ounce of regret. In fact, I feel peaceful and at ease.
The title, are you ready? I stalked my husband for 2 years before I formally met him.
Am I wrong for saying F you to my wife after she gave me her medical advice? This weekend, I, 35 male, took a sleep test for the first time in my life. My wife, 36 female, is a skeptic of American medicine and has been upset with how much I use my phone. We have an 18-month baby that we take care of, but I wake up groggy and grumpy every day and have for decades. So when I finally had the chance to take a sleep study, I jumped on it. Now I got the results back 2 days ago and it came back positive. Obstructive sleep apnea. I wasn't surprised. What did surprise me was the price of a machine, nearly $900. So I booked an appointment to get the machine, but my wife was livid. She told me that it's too much to pay, that I have student loans to pay off, and that she's been saving all this money just for me to waste it on myself. Especially when she hasn't gotten a good night's sleep in over a year and a half. She said that since I sleep heavily, I might even sleep better than she does. Am I wrong for saying F you to my wife after she gave me her medical advice? So to recap, it's $900 for the machine, and my wife said that's way too much money. Especially because I have student loans, and also she's been helping save the money too. She even said that because I sleep heavily, I probably sleep better than even she does, and if I want to be able to sleep better, all I have to do is get off my phone so much. I was so tired of her thinking she's smarter than even doctors, so I abruptly told her F you. Then I stormed out. Well, now it's today and I canceled the appointment. I'm not expecting anything to get better and she's still not speaking to me. Edited to add that we do have more than a year's income in savings, so at this point we're hoarding money. Also, she told me it's just doctors trying to take my money, and she also said you wouldn't use it anyway. Also, I do use my phone at night, but only to combat my insomnia. And because people are asking, I'm only 130 pounds. Am I wrong for wanting my boyfriend to cook after he invited more people than planned? So my 23 female boyfriend, 25 male, and I were supposed to host a dinner for us and another couple we met on vacation, and I'm supposed to be in charge of the cooking. 2 days ago, before going to work, my boyfriend tells me that he forgot to tell me he invited our neighbors and their 3 children. I was kind of annoyed he didn't ask me first, but whatever, I said okay. Next time ask me if I'm okay with it first. Well, after coming home from work the same day, he tells me that he invited 2 of his other colleagues, and they'll come with their wives and kids. And they have 1 kid each, so that'll make 2 more children. I got upset when he told me this because 1, he invited 6 more people without asking me first, and again, 2, he told me that I needed to make a different dish for his colleagues' kids because they won't like what I'm planning to cook. So I told my boyfriend he needs to be the one cooking because I don't want to do it anymore. Am I wrong for wanting my boyfriend to cook after he invited more people than planned? Not only did he invite 6 more people without asking me, but he also told me I need to make a different dish for his colleagues' kids because they won't like what I'm planning to cook. So I told my boyfriend that he needs to be the one cooking because I don't want to do it anymore. He asked me why, as I initially did agree to cook, and I said initially I agreed to cook for 4 people, not 15. I added that it'll be easier for him to cook for 15 people anyways because he has his whole afternoon free while I'll be working until 4 p.m. But my boyfriend doesn't agree and thinks it's unfair of me to have agreed to cook just to take it back last minute. So I told him that once I come back from work, I can help him with the kids' food, but he needs to do the rest. Well, he doesn't want to and even threatened to cancel the whole thing if I don't cook. I want to know, after inviting the first few people and then her telling him not to, why would he go back to work and invite so many more people without even asking? Am I wrong for refusing to become friends with my husband's former wife after donating bone marrow to my stepson? So I've been married to Chris for 10 years, and before me, he was married to Lacey for 8. But they were together since high school, have 4 kids, and me and Chris have 2. Now, something you guys need to understand is Lacey hated me. It was beyond our personalities. I think that she was bitter for being divorced and seeing the man who she was with since 16 move on, but that's her problem and not mine. We've gotten into it a few times, and I'm not apologizing to her just because I'm happy and she's simply not. Well, Chris and Lacey's youngest son, Jacob, was diagnosed with stage 3 lymphoma and needed a bone marrow transplant. Unfortunately, no one in his family was a match, and I also got tested and was a match. And Lacey actually asked me if I was going to donate like I'm some kind of witch. Of course I did, and Jacob is in remission and is your average 13-year-old kid.
Am I in the wrong for leaving my sister's wedding early because she kept my husband out of the pictures? I'm 31 male and my sister and 34 female got married on Saturday. My husband of 7 years, Mark, 32 male, was there with me up until one point. After the ceremony, Anne wanted a picture of all of our siblings. There's 5 of us, and their respective partners, so we started lining up. When Anne saw that my husband was sitting next to me, she shook her head and said something about him ruining the aesthetic. Apparently, her plan was to put one man and one woman next to each other alternately. My youngest sister, 18 female, who doesn't have a partner and was sitting on the very side, offered to stand between the 2 of us, so we could be close and Anne's wish would still be respected. I thought that this was a great solution, but Anne disagreed and told Mark to get out of the picture. He's quite introverted and tries to avoid confrontation under all circumstances, so he simply complied and told me not to get angry. But it was obvious that he was hurt and disappointed by being left out. Obviously, it didn't stop me from getting angry and I walked away with him. I can understand that Anna wants her wedding pictures to look exactly how she imagined them, but I think that the idea that my younger sister proposed was very reasonable. I congratulated Anna and her husband one last time, but then I said my goodbyes. When I was asked why we were leaving early, especially before taking the pictures, I said that I didn't feel like our presence was wanted. We left before dinner was served and I took Mark to his favorite restaurant to cheer him up a little bit. Anna has texted me since saying that I was being overdramatic and making a fuss over nothing. Our parents have tried to remain neutral, but except for my younger sister, the rest of the family supports Anna and thinks that leaving early was going too far and I should have sucked it up instead of ruining her big day. So, am I in the wrong?